Check 1 2, check 1 2. Miami on the Rocks, Casey Chopz. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at MIA on the Rocks. Follow us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Today's episode is brought to you by my brother Smiles Official. Make sure you check out his brand new single featuring Tory Lanez, Bands in the Trap, Apple Music, Spotify, Shazam, all of that. Follow him on Instagram at Smiles Official. Today's guest, we got the first repeat guest. I got my brother Sammy. I got my brother Vinnie from Neostar Football. You are looking at two NFL agents, two young NFL agents in the game. They're under Dan Marino. They're under Seth Levitt. Talk your shit. Name more names. Say more names. Say more big names. Drew Bledsoe. We don't need the name drop. We drop names. Drop names.
All right. Jason Taylor, Troy Polamalu, Jonathan Ogden, Raheem Mostert, Josh Hammond, Bravion Roy. We can keep it going, man. Come on,
I mean, we can keep it going.
There it is. And make sure you follow their podcast, Breaking Into Sports.
Yes.
You know, two NFL agents.
Hey, first off, produced by Miami on the Rocks Production.
Talk about it, Sammy.
The best production crew out there in the industry, man. I don't care where you're at. Like, if you in Cali, you best be flying to Miami just to get that production
value. If you aren't with them, get with them before you miss that train, baby. Before you miss that train.
So if you want to start a podcast, you know, and you have money to invest in yourself, hit us up. You know, we're here to make the product good. Sammy, Vinny, I appreciate you guys pulling up. The NFL season is about to start. I think Madden's about to come out, right, Ryan? Tomorrow. Oh, it's late. So
kids are gonna be stuck in their room.
Yeah, it's masked up playing video games. It's crazy.
Looking at ratings.
Yeah, damn. And so the NFL season about to start, and Vinny and Sammy, you guys have been traveling crazy, going from training camp to training camp. You said you were in Canton, Ohio, right?
Yep.
So how's that been, man? Like, you're back on the road, you know, for all these training camps. The season's about to start. What's the energy like?
Man, the energy is different, right? Because if you think about it, it's really been a year and a half since things have been back to normal. So this is like, it's almost been a 2-year gap since we've been able to go back to what we're doing. So first and foremost, man, I got to say, thanks for allowing me to be the first repeat guest. I'm an honor.
Of course, man. Of course. You guys are.
I'll get there. But I'll get there.
But no, it's been interesting, right? I was just on the road for the last 2.5 weeks. I got back on Sunday night, just bouncing around, seeing our clients, meeting with teams, just different stops of the way. I actually did a road trip this year, which is something I don't normally do. And I did that strategically because, one, I went the whole East Coast and just stopped along the way, like every 7 hours, 6 hours, and those different cities, visit those training camps, go to the practices. But two, because of COVID, one of the impacts we saw was rental cars and cars in general, right? And vehicles have been like very, very scarce lately. So rental cars are either A, through the roof, or B, you can't get one.
Bro, I saw a meme and it said all the things that increased in price because of inflation since all this shit happening, and rental cars are at the top of the list. Why?
Yeah, because
what is it about rental cars?
It was like the parts and everything from the manufacturers shut down. Those factories shut down. So the parts coming in, the manufacturers themselves.
So is it that they weren't unable to produce cars? Is this affecting the buying a car market as well?
So just to give you an example.
Correct.
Each year we're sourcing different like car opportunities and endorsements for our clients, and whether it be for them while they're training or X, Y, and Z, we are normally able to get them a car for that time period. This year it was like pulling something teeth, man.
Damn, bro.
And majority of the dealerships were like, no, we're not doing that. You know, we don't have the parts. We don't have the cars on our lot. We need to sell what we have. And then you really find out the nitty gritty of why, and it was like, damn, we can't get no fucking parts to get the cars done.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that was one of the things that we had to talk to, like, the higher ups directly from the different organizations. So like I'll give you an example, like Ford, you know, we're talking to them. We're like, hey man, what's going on? And he's like, look, I got to break it down for you. This is what's really happening around the country right now. And it's like that for every dealership, not just Ford, but like, you know, they just couldn't find the parts. They couldn't find the different things to be able to create the amount of vehicles that were in demand.
That's crazy.
So the whole rental car industry shut down almost.
So you went on a road trip to all these training camps.
I did.
What cities did you hit? What teams did you?
Yeah, so I went to Jacksonville. I went to Carolina out in Spartanburg, South Carolina. That's where the Carolina Panthers do their training camp every year, and it was cool, man, because like last year they weren't able to do that, right, because of COVID. So they kept everything in house at the training facility that they work out at during the regular season. So for them to get back into the mix and allow fans to come out and those sort of things, it was pretty interesting to see, and just to see like the excitement around it. Like you had fans driving in from Charlotte. It's about an hour drive. come out, support the team, support the practice, wearing the jerseys, buying the snow cones. They did it like a
Did
a
it feel
Saturday
like
night
compromised
practice.
at all? Like because of the whole COVID shit? Like are like the players like 6 feet distanced, or is it like?
It's yes and no, right? Within the team itself, no. Like the practice is the practice, right? Especially from a fan standpoint, when you're watching it from a fan standpoint. For me as an agent, it was different, and every team is still different to that degree. And they're trying to keep fans as far away as they can, at least, but while still keeping some sort of fan engagement. But every team, it's a team by team thing right now around the league. So like, I'll give you an example, right? So I was in Jacksonville beforehand. Went to Jaguars practice on Friday. Yeah, I think it was Friday morning. And went to that practice. They had us out like on the field like we normally do, type of thing, in the family area. We got to go see our clients after practice and go out into the field, interact, and whatever. Fast forward that same night, I drove from Jacksonville to Spartanburg, and I went to Carolina Panthers practice that evening, where you had to sit in the stands and be with the other fans, and you couldn't go out onto the field. You couldn't go see your clients and those sort of things. So every team's a little bit different in that regard.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
And I think what was the meme I saw was like the Falcons were the first team to be fully vaccinated.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're
Correct.
like, is
They're
there? You think?
requiring it.
Are they the only team like that? That's
As of
like,
right now,
because
I
if you
thought the Vegas Raiders too.
I'm not sure if they hit up 100 or not. But
because if one person messes up, the team is getting fined heavily, right?
oh yeah, and they could actually lose a game on their
Forfeit games.
record and forfeit a game.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is crazy. bro.
Honestly,
It is.
if you're like one of those guys who are fighting for a roster spot right now and you're not vaccinated,
Oh, they're just gonna cut
you're
you
decreasing your chances
Yeah.
and you're going to get cut.
Yeah,
because you're just a liability at this point.
Yeah.
essentially.
You're going to
But
lose
it's
the
like-
money.
Damn, bro. I hate to get into the vaccination talk, bro, but it's like you could catch it if you're vaccinated.
Correct.
right.
So what happens if someone catches it and the whole team? What happens if the Atlanta Falcons, everyone's vaccinated, and then someone gets COVID and it spreads because they're all vaccinated? Are they still getting fined because they
are.
tested
Yeah.
positive?
Yeah, they are.
Even if they got vaccinated.
As of right now, yes. So,
Yeah, and that sounds like an evil like fan could like create a variant in a lab and let's
Damn, Casey, don't be giving people
put
ideas
in the
now.
Denver Broncos like training camp in fucking the Denver variant. Yo, that's crazy, bro.
You're going to
go
give a fan
from
an
a Delta
idea,
to
bro.
Denver.
Yeah,
Denver.
who are some clients you guys are rocking with right now? Who's exciting to you guys right now that you're dealing with?
I think all of our clients are
Yeah.
exciting to me.
I mean,
to be
yeah,
honest
it's like
with you.
choosing your children. Like,
Yeah, it's just an exciting time in general because like every year you love to see those first year guys that get their first crack at their dream essentially. So like to me it was really fun to see Lamont Wade put on a helmet because he was a young man that grew up in the Pittsburgh area, went to Penn State, and then goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right?
Oh, damn, yeah.
So like
Home
to see
team.
him come back home, put on that Steelers uniform, put on that Steelers helmet, go out that first preseason game and play the way he did, and see the way he moves in practice and interacts, and like it's just so much fun for me to see that because like
Yeah.
that's like a dream come true.
It's a real
right?
moment.
yeah, how do you guys keep in touch because you guys are young agents, right? When you think of NFL agent, you think of like the old school guys. What do you guys do to separate yourself from the older guys? Are you like I remember you, Sammy, telling me that you used to play Call of Duty with your clients and stuff. But it's
Seriously.
relatable. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what are some of the things you guys do to kind of just like stay relatable to the clients and build that rapport with them?
I think it's just being there. However you need to be there with them. Like Sammy likes playing Call of Duty. I'm not a Call of Duty guy, but we're always communicating on Instagram,
Sending
on
music,
things,
just finding ways to, like, relate.
Yeah, memes. Like we have like, although it's always business 1st, they're family at this point. Like those my brothers. Like so it's it's just like a relationship. Like they can't have that relationship with a lot of the older agents because you're not relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, you want a 75-year-old man showing up to a marketing appearance with you doing X, Y, and Z.
Are they even going
Can
to
you
training
even
camps
talk?
like y'all? Are they even putting in the work that you guys do?
Some are. It's hard to say, man, honestly, because everyone's a little bit different. But you do have some of the older guys that are still out there doing it and stuff. But like for me, like I look a lot younger than I am, right? And like I think that's always been one of the things. Like people look at me and they're like, "Oh man, you're 25." I'm like, "No, I'm 31." And like I know I have the qualifications to do the job that I need to do, and I know that I can do the job that I can do. I mean, I have my law degree. I did my MBA at the same time. Like I have all those different things backing me that any of these older agents have. Actually, more than most of them have, right, in terms of qualifications itself. So, like, you add that with the relatability factor and the experience that Vinny has and the rest of our team has, and it's like one of those things that's really unmatched. And, like, don't get me wrong, we still do have older agents on our team. Like, you know, we have the legend Marvin Demoff. Like, Marvin's been a guy that's seen everything, done everything, has his own 30 for 30 forum, X, Y, and Z.
And he's on your podcast. Make sure you go to their YouTube and check that out.
Breaking into sports. Yeah, so definitely check that out. But, I mean, you have people like that. And, you know, we work with another guy named Timothy Younger and Ralph Stringer. And you have these guys that have set NFL records in each position, which is incredible. But, like, for us, like me and Vinny, we get to bring that young flavor with the experience, right?
Right.
So, like, you mentioned Call of Duty. I still do that.
Yeah,
I still
that's
play almost
smart.
every night.
That's smart.
But I was in a cast for 3.5 months. I broke my wrist, and it was driving me nuts because I couldn't do anything, including playing Call of Duty.
Damn, no,
So
you
I'm like,
porn, none of that.
Nothing. I couldn't even get on that, man.
I'll cut that up.
Left hand.
He said, hold on, Sammy got nervous for a second.
I didn't.
But yo, so what is what, like, for example, for me, like when I go into like maybe a nightclub and it's being ran by a bunch of, you know, OGs, which, you know, you respect the OGs, or you go into any business and you see it's predominantly ran by OGs. And for me, I'm like, dang, my young mind is like, we could do this way.
Yeah.
This needs this business needs to be changed this way to like. So what do you guys see within what you do that you're excited to like, yo, if we change this could be a little different and updated. This could be renovated, you know, like, is there anything that comes to mind in what you guys do?
Honestly, I think from a marketing standpoint, a lot of guys who are with older agents and marketing people, they don't have the opportunity to build their brand the right way.
Right.
More conservative.
Yeah, it's a lot more conservative. And, you know, nowadays, like, marketing and branding is all like, how can I fit in your memory, whether it be funny or it be storytelling, like an emotional piece and whatever it is. And then, like, you also have to tap into, like, you can't just have solely a football brand anymore. It doesn't sell. Brands don't want that. They're looking at influencers, X, Y, and Z, versus, you know, someone who's just like, hey, I'm in my football uniform.
Right.
What do you bring to my company? How does that align? So it's about like now like finding different ways to really have the clients live more of that lifestyle digitally and highlight the behind the scenes.
Or show them the lifestyle digitally.
Yeah. Show them.
But doesn't that kind of like take away from their focus on the, I mean, you know, like
it's strategic. It's all strategic. Like there's certain time periods that you could do it and get it done. A lot in the off season, just have everything kind of built up to where we're like pushing it out.
Kind of like film your own reality show and then like roll it out.
Yeah, over that time period versus, you know, we don't want to take away from what they're doing on the field first and foremost because, you know, that's how you're making your living.
Right.
Teams see that stuff. So, you know, you have to be cognizant of it.
Right.
But there's creative ways to work
I think
around
about that, like even in the music game, like imagine like if you know, like you guys are heavily affiliated with Dan Marino. Imagine if like in his prime when you could go online and like seeing him eat spaghetti at fucking an Italian restaurant, you know, does that help or does that hurt? Does that, because it definitely hurts the mystique, right? Because you do want, you know, which is why Rihanna will put out a song and go ghost because so it's meaningful when she does pop out, you know what I'm saying? But then there's the other side of it where you got to keep content on people's head, and you know what I'm saying? So it's a fine line.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it honestly comes down to the individual, right? Because every single person is different, and that's the one thing you need to understand. And that's like the one thing about like these mega like agencies where they just push out this like, you know, template essentially. It's like, oh, hey, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. It's like, all right, well, rewind because that may work for this person, but it's not gonna work for this person. They're not gonna make the same money. And like you mentioned Dan, for example, right? Like guys like Dan and Rihanna and these different things. Like if you do everything, you do lose that mystique, and that's why like somebody like Dan, who's been out of the league for how many years now, over almost 20 years, and he's a guy that still holds his value to this day because he doesn't do everything.
Right.
He's not everywhere you need to be.
Right.
He's not on social media like these other people.
No,
like
he does pop out. It's like, yo, I'm going to rock with Marooney.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
and so now all of a sudden you want to be associated with it, or you want to be in the room to say, hey, I have a chance to meet this guy, right? Or do these different things. And like Dan's one of the best people I know in the world. Like he's the type of guy that like right now I spill coffee on my shirt, he's sitting in your seat, he's gonna take his shirt off and give it to me, type of thing. Yeah. That's just the type of person he is. But like,
but I like also the guys who say no more than they say yes.
That's
you know,
and that's a big thing. But you also have other individuals that don't yet have that brand, right? And like not everyone's a Hall of Fame quarterback. First and foremost, like that's
Even
very,
some
very
Hall of Fame
few.
quarterbacks aren't Dan Marino.
Yeah,
let's get that straight.
There's different levels, right, to life in general. So like, if you are that person that hasn't built your brand yet and you're still trying to build your brand, you may need to do things that somebody else doesn't have to do. It's the same thing with athletics, same thing with music. Like, there's certain individuals that are naturally talented. Like someone could walk up to the mic, they don't got to write anything down, and they could just spit bars all day. Same thing in sports. You could walk onto the field, not have to practice.
No stretching, just go.
And just go and be that dude. It's the same thing with your brand, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's certain individuals that are going to have that because of their natural ability, and there's others that aren't. You're going to have to work for it.
And now college players, this is unprecedented too. Now college players, for the people, the average person listening, if you're a college superstar, you were never able to monetize off your brand because you're in college.
Right.
But now they finally changed the rule, and college players can hustle on the side and get paid and use their likability, to make deals. How do you guys feel about that? Because there's pros and cons to that as well.
I mean, I'll start,
Go ahead,
Vin. You
Sam.
can go after, but I think the biggest thing is I love it first and foremost. This is something that when I was in law school, I actually wrote one of my papers on this about like how I thought this should have been done years ago. And to me, there's no reason why it shouldn't have been. It's going to be very hard to police, and I think they're still trying to figure out those things. And it's going to be something that they go back and forth on for years, and there's going to be a lot of corruption involved with it, and people paying people to go to school here, and this and that, and X, Y, and Z. I think there's going to be a lot of those issues that we see, but at the same time, look, why is the person on the football team not able to do the same thing that a student that's on an academic scholarship able to do, right? Like, if an academic scholarship student can go ahead and make a YouTube channel and make $1 million, why can't the guy on the football team do that? Or why can't the person, like the female on the diving team, do that? Like, what's the reason for stopping them just because they're both on scholarships, just different levels? See, I think that right now a lot of college athletes believe that they're going to make millions overnight, and that's not the case. The majority of college athletes are going to make less than $1,000 a year, hands down. And I think that stats right now would show that, like, ever since this move has shifted already. But I think there's certain individuals right now that are really handling it extremely well around all sports. I mean, you saw the sisters that I forget where they're at, the basketball girls that capitalized on Boost Mobile and did a few deals. And for me, and I'm a little biased on this one, but the quarterback at the University of Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett, and his first ever deal was to do a deal for his offensive line. To say, hey, look, I know these guys probably won't get the same marketing opportunities as a skill position player or a quarterback, so I'm going to do my first deal for them. So now every week of my season, I'm going to take my offensive line out to eat, and all of our meals are going to be comped at this really nice restaurant in Pittsburgh. And then Kenny also went a step further and said, all right, my second deal, everyone's launching clothing lines and this and that. Yeah, I'm still going to do my clothing line, but I'm going to do my first drop of my clothing line for charity. So I'm going to do my first shirt ever. And he created this concept called the Pickett's Partners. And he worked with PGT Trucking in Pittsburgh. And he also worked with Ithan USA and the Boys and Girls Club of Western Pennsylvania to donate 200 T-shirts to the Boys and Girls Club of Western Pennsylvania. And then he also put that same shirt on his website, and every future sale gets donated to the Boys and Girls Club. So, like, just to do those little different things that, it's not money first for me. It's like, I know I can do it now. I'm still going to do it. Right. But let me also take care of the people around me first as well. Now that I can do it.
And I think it's even like bigger, parlaying off of that. A lot of college athletes are going to sell themselves short because they're starting to partner with all these brands right now. When kind of like how we were talking about certain things earlier, like your values here right now, it could be here depending on how you portray your brand and work through those different angles. Or you could commit to a bunch of companies right now for what you're getting paid. And you're sold out to everyone.
Right. I was going to ask you guys, like, how would a college player mess it up? Like, do it the wrong way? Like, would it be like Jose socks? Like, I'm gonna sell Jose socks on my thing. Like now.
Well, there's a bunch of different ways. I mean, honestly, there's more ways you can mess it up than get it right.
100%.
And it's like you can mess it up by one, associating with the wrong brands. Two, by undervaluing yourself. So now all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm the star quarterback at blank, and I'm going to do, 15 personal appearances at the local pizza shop and sign 30 items every time someone comes in for a free pizza every week. your value is going to decrease.
And they don't even realize that.
The words.
This episode is brought to you by Smiles Official. Make sure you check out his brand new single featuring Tory Lanez, Bands in the Trap. The link is in the description. Make sure you go stream that. Apple Music, Spotify, and Shazam it. Follow him on Instagram at Smiles Official. There it is.
The thing that people don't realize is how small the sports industry is, right? The word spreads.
Yeah.
And it spreads fast.
Yeah.
And
no Domino's for you. You just took Steve's Pizza in the middle of...
Not even that too, but there's signatures after that. Say that person goes on to be a first round draft pick. Normally you could get significant trading card deals first, second, third round. He already decreased his value because he was selling his signature for, we'll say, $10 versus you're selling each signature for 100, 150 if you're
whatever.
It's a fact.
Whatever it is.
I was watching a documentary on YouTube, and it was about this dude was in the hood in East New York, and he was talking to somebody. He's like, "What's wrong with the youth today over here?" And they're like, "These kids in high school, whatever, all they care about is getting a bag." Which is, just getting money, get to the money, and I think that is the goal of this country, right? Is capitalism. We want to get to the money, but you gotta know who you are first before you get to the money. Like you're in high school still. Like figure out what you want to do in college. Figure out how you want to make good money. Not just we got to get to the money, because you're gonna, without knowing yourself, you're gonna get to the money in ways that are gonna mess up who you are. If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
That makes perfect sense.
100%. Because then, if you're so concerned about the bag, where's your ethics? Where's your values? And in terms of the marketing space with athletes and the representation, it's like, do my ethics, morals, and values align with this Joe's Socks or Barstool Sports, for example, or different things like that? Do I align with those?
Exactly. No. It's weird because the name of business is to get to the bag. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're telling the youth, or no, you want to get to the bag, but not right now. There's, figure yourself out first, then get to the bigger bag when it's time,
And I think that's one of the hardest things to do is separate that, right? Because me, I'm a man of faith, right? And I always keep God first. And I know without God, I would have never had any opportunity, even to this day, that I've already had. And when you start to think about that, patience is one of the hardest things to teach nowadays, because everything is so instant.
Right.
Everything's right here,
instant
man.
gratification, we need it now.
Bro, no matter what it is, you want to know what it is, right? If I post a photo, I better get 100 likes in an hour.
You tell a kid in high school, I'll give you $10,000 right now, or in 10 years, I'll give you $200,000. They're going to take that $10K right now.
And that's the scary part about it, man. That's the devil coming into the world saying, "Hey, let me lure you in with these little secret things right now." And God's over here pulling you a different direction, saying, "Hey, man, stay patient with me, and I promise you, things are gonna be better in the long term." But so often right now, it's so just that quick, easy. Let me feel good today, but then 5 years from now, I'm gonna feel terrible. And I hate that, because you see it so frequently now, man. In not just in sports, not just in music, but in life. You see it in general, and it's one of the things I always hate to see is wasted talent. Whatever it is, whether it's music, whether it's sports, whether it's just intellect, whether it's anything in life that you do. And it's just you have that ability, but you have someone over here saying, "Hey, no, this is better right now. Come here." And sometimes that's a product of your environment. You just don't know what you don't know. We talk about this all the time. You really don't know what you don't know. And for me, it's how can we make a difference and pull people back this way to say, "Hey, look, this is another view of it. Look at it this direction. And if you actually stay patient, you wait, and you do it long term, this is what you're going to get from this instance, right? You're not going to get drug into this." And I think that's one of the hardest things to do right now whenever you see everything right here.
People need to consume.
Yeah.
They need to whether they can't just sit still and just not consume. They got to fight. They got to, what's next? What's the next thing I need to do? And, that's what this country teaches us, though. It's a gift and a curse, because we're not taught to just fall back and just breathe easy and just be present.
A lot of times individuals are steered too by who's around them, like you said, product of their environment,
culture,
seeing everything on social media, oh, they're getting to the bag, but the reality is that person might not even be getting to the bag. They might be good showing it and good flexing,
right?
But this person right here perceives it dang, my teammate's getting to the bag, and then that person will have, whether it be family or agents pushing them hey, we could do X, Y, and Z, or you need to do X, Y, and Z to help us pay this, this, and this. And in sports, there's a lot of factors that play into that. So it's with us, we're trying to just be strategic and help you holistically see what that should and can look like.
Well, you talked about NIL and like some of the fears, right? And how you can hold you back. And I think that's one of my biggest fears is that right now you're seeing a lot of these like quote unquote marketing firms pop up out of nowhere. So you have like, you know, the local photographer in this city is now all of a sudden a marketing firm, or this person's uncle on the team is now a marketing firm, or this person over here who's second cousins to this player is a marketing firm. And it's like, that's fine. If you can actually handle it, more power to you. But most of them aren't doing the actual research that needs to be done before you actually get into this industry. And, you know, every state has different qualifications. Every school has different rules. So like for Pennsylvania, for example, like whenever you enter into a name, image, and likeness deal as a college athlete, you have a 7-day grace period. So before you actually sign that contract, you have to send that contract over to the school, to the university. They need to get it approved. And then you have 7-day window before you could turn around, actually sign it, and then start forward on it. So now all of a sudden you have, you know, Joe Schmo's uncle over here that started Agency X, and they're like, hey man, you know, I represent this person, this is my nephew next, and they start signing these guys and they just start entering into contracts. Someone's gonna end up losing their eligibility. And I hate that, man, because like you got to remember these are still kids essentially, right? They're college kids. Like when I was in college, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know any better, and there's only so much you question. So now you start to trust these quote unquote older individuals around you that are supposed to be professionals. And
it's crazy. I'm kind of indifferent on it, man, because I'll be on, like, I see there's two variables in here. I see the benefits in not being able to use your likeness in college, but then when you say that and side with that, you're also siding with universities able to use your likeness. So I'm not for that either. You know what I'm saying? But it's almost like you're getting your driver's license premature. You're getting in the car before you could get your driver's license.
Why,
you know?
Why aren't you, like, what do you see right now, like, in your view, that says that you should not be able to use your likeness?
Because of that, focusing on that and not your athletics.
But shouldn't that be your God-given right, though? I'm saying.
Let me chime in here. One question. I got a question for you. What makes a college athlete any different than an 18-year-old person in America? So any 18-year-old person can go get a job, but these college athletes can't. Because they can't, because they can't use their name, image, and likeness.
Right.
Okay, I'm thinking more for like signing a deal with like a brand and like sponsoring yourself.
I mean, all those things are the same.
Yeah.
So once you get an employment contract, you are signing a deal with a brand for them to pay you.
Yeah.
So those things fall under the same thing. The same thing is, hey, you can't use it. So what is it that makes a college athlete at 18 different than a normal citizen at 18? That's the
reason why.
Don't talk yourself into it if it doesn't make sense.
No, but I'm just saying that I see. Look, what I said is I see benefits in not being able, because it's a distraction at the end of the day from what you're trying to nurture. At the end of the day, that's how I see it. I could see it as a distraction,
but it's also a distraction. Like if you think about
your talent.
No, people go to college to make money.
What?
People go to college to make money.
No, I'm saying your athletics, bro. Like getting better at your craft. You know what I'm saying?
I think. Go ahead.
If it was specifically about that, then you would think that they would have something else in place where you didn't need to focus on that, and you'd still be able to make money from your athletics, right?
I think,
which isn't in place right now, though.
Right.
So like to his point, like my thing is like, okay, why can Jonathan or Amy from Vanderbilt,
the chess club, on the team
from the chess club, whatever, go ahead and come on campus and start this YouTube channel and make all this money because they're making this personal brand, but realistically they're there on an academic scholarship because they all want to be doctors. And why is that not seen as a distraction from being a doctor, which is someone that actually goes out, saves lives for a living?
Beforehand, they couldn't even start a YouTube channel?
No,
like
they could start it, but they couldn't make money on it.
Couldn't make money off of it.
For example, Destroying Donald De La Haye and UCF was told he had millions of subscribers before, but he's also the UCF kicker. And the UCF football team said, Donald, you've got to choose your YouTube channel or being the UCF kicker. He said, I'm going to keep my YouTube channel. And that's why he doesn't play.
See, okay, then I disagree with that. I was looking at it more through the lens of like, if Toyota comes up to me and I'm playing in college, I might not want to fuck with them right now because I might want to focus on building what I'm building right now and not having premature bread, like I don't know.
I keep them broke. Like, that's the point.
Yeah. And for me, I agree, right? Because it's like someone works from what age to be able to start to build their craft.
Right. That's
so
true too.
why am I not able to monetize my craft, which happens to be a sport that I'm exceptional at, versus someone academically is building their craft and they just want to go to school for academics and can do whatever the fuck they want to do.
Right.
Well, and the other thing is too is like getting your value while your value is there, because every single year you see this, right? Where you have somebody that's in college that could make millions of dollars or a lot of money, even if it's not millions of dollars, right? They can make a lot of money. But then all of a sudden something happens, like a freak injury or something else along those lines. And now the same individual that was, quote unquote, never allowed to make a penny off of what they did is now out of a career for the rest of their lives. So now, like you mentioned, right? Like, I don't want it to be a distraction. My focus is on football, or if we're using that for an analogy, right? So your focus should be on football. It should be to make all this money long term. It should be to do X, Y, and Z. And that's what everybody wants you to believe. But at the end of the day, like, when the game ends for you, right? Like, the game's not calling you back. The game's not still sending you checks. The game's not still doing these things. If you get hurt your senior year of college and never get drafted, you don't make a penny. So why not be able to capitalize on that now? At least have something in your pocket, so if that situation does occur, you have some sort of financial security behind you.
I see it. Now, if you were a coach, if you were coaching the team, do you think that would you want your players having to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you want your starting quarterback studying the playbook, or do you want him worried about his Toyota obligations? You know what I'm saying? Like,
honestly, I feel like a lot of universities coaches are kind of implementing systems. I don't want to say any names or anything on who is and who isn't, but there's a lot of universities who are like, hey, quarterback X, you're not allowed to do this from this time period, but any other time, like after this time period, whether it be, first, second, third game, you could go ahead and like do that. And a lot of the players, they respect that though, because it's real. Like, they understand.
I'm just trying to look at all viewpoints, and it has to be separated somehow. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can't.
It's going to be different for each program, each coach's philosophy.
Because now you got these kids in the huddle, and in the huddle, like, bro, I just got that Toyota bag. Like, I'm working on the Domino's bag right now. Like, hey, fam. Like,
but I think the reality is, once you get in the huddle, once you get on the field, once you get into the gridiron, like, all that other stuff disappears, right? Like, I mean, if anyone that's played sports, right, like, knows when that competitive nature sits in and you're actually in the game mode, you're focused on the game at that point, right?
For the guys,
if there's one thing that's gonna fuck with it, it's gonna be money.
It is.
If there's one thing that's gonna take away from that, it'll be money.
But I think that'll be more so in the locker room itself than actually on the field. When you're in the field, you're in the huddle, like, you're focused on the job at hand, right? So from a coaching standpoint, I think that coaches definitely are going to see it differently, like Vinny said, like, because you look at it two-sided, right? So college coaches, just like anyone else, they have a job. And their job, and they get paid first and foremost, right? Like Max said, they get paid. So they get paid to be there, and they get paid to keep people coming. They get paid to get the top recruits. How are they now going to get the top recruits?
Boom.
By showcasing that their student athletes can make money on their campus.
What happened to scholarships, bro?
They still have that.
Like, we're paying you to go to our school. By the way, I'm just exploring all viewpoints here.
No. But you still have the scholarship. But now it's more than a scholarship because NIL just opened up, right? So how can I now incentivize you? Because as a school, I'm not allowed to give you anything. I'm not allowed to give you any deals. I'm not allowed to do anything. But what you can do is highlight how some of our top student athletes are making X, Y, and Z. So now whenever you come to recruit, whenever recruits coming in, it's like, oh, hey, did you see what da-da-da did? Oh, yeah, they made $50K this year. Oh, what did school X do? Oh, their quarterback, oh, he made nothing. Or their wide receiver, oh, he made nothing. So now all of a sudden you can kind of use that as a recruiting bone to say, these are the different things.
That's nasty to me,
but that's where it gets slimy, though. And that's where it gets a little bit murky because, and to me, like, where I see that coming and where it being a big issue is whenever you start to get the donors involved. Now the donors are coming in, and now all of a sudden, the boosters of the programs of the universities, and that's where I get scared for some student athletes because, like, this is so new that regulations are going to continue to roll out over the next several years to a decade, and it's going to continue to change and change and change. And right now they're still trying to figure out how to regulate everything too, because like now there's so many moving parts because not only are you dealing with different states, there's no universal law for this yet, right? There's no federal mandate. So
It's gonna be like when robots come out.
Yeah, so you have different state laws, you have different college laws for each university. Like, you know, you have some states where you need to register and pay X amount. You have other states like Michigan where you don't have to do certain things. So just trying to figure that all into one universal system. I think eventually over time they will do that because there needs to be some sort of mandate in this and also to regulate who's representing each person as well in those situations. But right now, it's just so murky that I can see like the boosters coming in and these bigger universities and saying, "Hey, look, we haven't had a 5-star quarterback in 18 years, but my company over here will sponsor this kid who's a 5-star quarterback, and he'll come in and we'll guarantee him $1 million off bat to come in and commit to this program." Even though that's illegal, it doesn't mean that, you know, things that are illegal don't get done. Right. And I think that's the reality of the situation right now. So just navigating these waters is going to be interesting for the next few years.
And that changes the way you guys could do business too, because now it's like, do you need a content creator department within what you do, and do you need to help these athletes create content and start podcasts? You know what I mean? And
I got a quick question for you. I hate to cut you off, Casey.
No, you're good.
But in terms of this, right, just before you move into the next thing, because this is on the same thing. One, why do people believe, like, in every other fashion, they treat these kids as adults? But when it comes to like, oh, well, they're playing football, so they can't be adults. Like, every kid has a family. Every kid, like, and the same people that are saying that they shouldn't get money have college jobs.
Yep.
So it's like, what makes making money a bigger distraction than anything else? Like, your mom still lives in the hood. She's at shootouts every day. Like, why is that a bigger distraction? The same thing they say with NFL dudes. Like, do you hear that from your players that talk about like, yo, when the media says it, when people outside say it, it sounds crazy.
I think it's just because the NCAA wants to, you know, essentially have a stronghold on everything, and so does the universities. Like, the universities, they have sponsors, right? So now these athletes are going to be working against some of the sponsors who might be a sponsor of the university, and like it just starts to create a confliction between it. So I think, you know, that could be where you start to catch some, you know, the university individuals saying, "Oh, this is wrong," and X, Y, and Z, but in reality, it's just bullshit.
See, that's wrong.
But my thing is like too, like you mentioned distraction, right? Like, why is it a distraction for some and not for others? Like, shoot, I was that broke college athlete at one point, right, where we didn't have the money to be able to do the different things. So like, when you look back to that and you start thinking about it, it's like, what is more of a distraction at the end of the day? Is it filming a Toyota commercial, or is it not having any money and now you're worrying about your family, like figuring things out? Like, fortunately enough, I was never in that situation where I had to worry if my mom or my sister or anyone was ever going to have to eat something. But I know a lot of people that were, right? And for them, that could be, and Vinny, you know this too, like that could be much more of a distraction than any commercial I got to film or any obligation that I got to do, because at the end of the day, you're being able to provide for someone that can't provide. And like, life is precious, man. You get one life at the end of the day, right?
You don't know that. We might get another one. You don't know.
You might, but right now, man, you get one life, bro.
We know redos, but we don't know. We might get a redo. Who knows?
But as we know today, we get one life, bro. Like, fuck. Like, you know what I mean?
God might just be like, "Hey, by the way, here's round 2. Like, run it. Like, yo, you get hey, by the way, you get a redo.
You
like,
fucked up here. Let's try this again later on."
Yeah, who knows?
He might. You know, we do serve a gracious God.
I like to, hope for the best. You know,
He does give back, but let's just treat it like we only have one life, man. Like,
that's true.
You only got one. Like, let's try to take away some of those real life distractions.
Yeah.
Like, this is a blessing to be able to say it's a distraction. It's to say, hey, this Toyota deal, this Ford deal, this BM, whatever it may be, like, that's a blessing to say that's a distraction. Yeah. What's not a blessing to say it's a distraction is I can't afford to feed my family. My mom can't pay rent. My mom's electric just got shut off. It's the middle of winter. She lives in Washington, D.C., and now she's freezing. You know what I mean? Like, and my little brother's 2 who can't provide for himself, and he's freezing too. And he has to go to school this week, and now he can't even shower because he's so damn cold that he smells when he goes to school and gets picked on by kids. Right. And like, those are real life distractions.
When I relate it to like my career, like I'm going on, 13 years, like doing this full time, like paying my bills, and I'd like to think that I think I have a lot more years left to go, and I've seen DJs come and go, and thank God I'm still sustained and able to do what I do. But I'd like to think that I attribute that to the way that I move and the way my longevity is, because I'm very particular about like what I invest myself into, because I know DJs that they go for the low hanging fruit. And then you go for that low hanging fruit, and then that messes up your longevity trajectory. You know what I'm saying? So there's definitely both sides to it, because if you have a family to feed and you're broke, you're right, you got to do that. But you also have to be very mindful that this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know.
But that's
so it's a tug of war between the two.
Yeah, and that's what we preach to every one of our clients too. Like, is that exact same thing? Like, look, we get it, and if you're in that situation, we're gonna find ways to make you money, but it still needs to be strategic at the end of the day, because you don't want to shut yourself off for something else long term.
Right.
And that's why we're also very selective on how many people we work with each year. Like, we work with a maximum of 5 clients a year, right? In terms of like new clients that we sign on, and like we do that strategically because, one, you can't learn everyone if you do a lot more than that. 2, you definitely can't learn their families and their situations they're in. And 3, like, each person's different, like we talked about earlier.
You
right?
put the product before the check. You have to do that sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, there's going to be people who want to put the check before the product.
There is.
And you start to mess up the product because you're focused on the check.
Yep.
You know?
I agree with that.
But I think even like in our recruiting process, you're able to feel out who is and who isn't. So like, we work with a lot of like-minded individuals, and that's how it's always been. So like, that's kind of the philosophy that's passed down. So it's like the individuals that we do work with, they see that and they're like, okay, like this is something that I understand what they're preaching. I get it from my side too. Let's do this together and let's progress forward.
Yep.
Got you. What else you guys are excited about, like in this upcoming season? Now, you know, things seem to be back to normal. Is there anything coming up that you're excited about? Are you guys playing fantasy?
Nah, man. I haven't played fantasy.
You don't play fantasy?
I haven't played fantasy in like 6 years.
You know what's funny? I swear, like people be hitting me up like, "Hey, what's Da gonna do this week? What's this gonna do this week?" I'm like, "Bro, like I don't fucking know what the fuck he's gonna do." Like, it's not like I'm out there playing the game for him.
Right. That struck you too, right? That's kind of that they don't play fantasy. That shocked me. I would have thought they played fantasy.
I don't know, man. When I
they're into that. All my boys, I'm the only one who just plays because I want to be a part of the live drafts. And I get fucked up with my friends. You know.
Don't worry, Ryan's always trying to get the inside scoop for me too.
I asked him earlier. I'm like, "Yo, what's going on with X and I need my keepers." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He said, "Do I keep this person? Do I know? I can't tell you what to do. I can tell you what I saw in practice. I can't tell you." That's up to you, man.
Yes, it does strike me crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't played in like probably like 6 years, man. Because like for me, like fantasy is one of those things you gotta keep up on and like continue to switch and continue to do things. It's like we have so many other things going on that we need to keep up with because like. Again, we don't just work with our active clients. We still work with all of our retired guys. And I had, 4 or 5 different calls today alone just on stuff that we're doing for our retired guys, not even including the guys that are in the league or the guys that are trying to come back.
Are you guys if you guys didn't, say you guys were doctors, would you still be watching football the way you do?
Yes.
Are you guys a genuine fan of football?
Yeah.
I was going to say, hold on.
The way you do.
I would say the way we do, no, because now it's like, so I think of it when I was growing up, right? I played football. I love football. I wake up Saturday mornings like, oh shit, college football's on. I'm about to throw it on. Watch like a whole game all the way through with teams that I like. Versus now it's like I'm watching kids that I'm recruiting, like flipping through channels, not watching a game. And on Sundays, it's like, okay, NFL, like whatever, like
it's
my
almost like
clients on this,
they're your
just,
fantasy
like,
team, bro. It's almost like you got to individually keep up with individuals instead of teams.
You never really watch a whole game through and enjoy it in the way that you used to, but I still enjoy it.
There's times, man, where it's funny, like if we're not traveling, we're not at a game or whatever, Vinny and I will be sitting at home, and next thing you know, we take all the TVs in the house, and it's like you put them all in one place, man, and you just start having like 4, 5, 6 different screens. Different TVs, not just a red zone. Like you have red zone maybe on one or on your laptop or something. You have 4 or 5 different TV monitors. All sitting in there in the living room, and you're watching 4 or 5 different games, just trying to keep up with it. And it's tough to do at times. It is like because you're trying to watch everything and you can't watch everything. But we definitely, to the best of our ability, do watch everything.
Because it happens in the music industry. Like you come into the music game loving music, getting that feeling of goosebumps when you hear a song you really like. And then as you're in the industry, you tend to get jaded because you're exposed to the politics of it and people's disregard to the actual craft that you came in loving so much. So has that affected you guys at all? Like your passion for actual football? Like has the politics of it kind of like, you know what I mean? Like
I know what you mean. I think it's a tough question to answer, right? Because I think it's like one of those things that, like for me, I'm always gonna love it Like I love being around the action, love being around the guys, love being around
the game,
I love the game, but like more importantly, I love the business behind it too because it's strategic, and you got to be strategic with it.
It's a game in
as
itself.
Well, it's a game within a game, right? And but at the end of the day, I still love the game of football, right? And that's what keeps it going. So like, if I show up to a practice, no matter if I've been to practice 800 times or one time, it's still fun to me. Like you get to go there because like for me, I'm a people person, man. I love just being around people in general. So like when I get to go to a practice, I'm not just meeting with our clients. I'm meeting with the team. I'm meeting with the fans. I'm meeting with the reporters. I'm meeting with whoever else is in that area. I'm talking to them about different things, hearing what they have to say, putting bugs out, like whatever it may be, like just getting involved in that action. Like and last year missing that for a whole year.
Oh yeah,
where we didn't have that. Like I went from all right, so let's rewind, right? So we went from Super Bowl in Miami, where, again, you mentioned we represent Danny Marino, and like there's not a party in Miami where Dan Marino's not invited to type of thing. So when it's a Super Bowl here, like the party of all parties for the year, with Danny, we had something every hour of every day from like 8 a.m. till like 3 a.m. If, we wanted to be at it type of thing. So you go from that and you sleep 6 hours throughout the whole week to all of a sudden the country getting shut down and you can't go anywhere. It's like, what the heck just happened? We were just at everything. I was at the game. I was, like all this different stuff that was going on. I was on the field and we had the 100 ceremony. I'm in the suite watching the game with all the top 100 guys and in NFL history. And now all of a sudden the country just shuts down out of nowhere, man. It was like, what the heck? So now, like, fast forward, you missed that whole year. And just to be able to go to practice again gets you excited because now it feels like you're right back in it. Like it almost feels like you're starting your career over, right? Because like when you first start out, like you say, like when you're in the music industry and you first started out, like those first few big concerts you got to be a part of, like not just as a fan, but like be a part of.
Right.
I'm sure they felt incredible, right? Like so that's now how it feels to go back to games and practices. I'm like, I'm in the stands, like, or I'm on the field and I'm just like looking around like a little kid again, like, oh my goodness, we're back. Like we're here.
One of the ironic things about life, bro, is sometimes you need something to get like taken away from you to really like reinvigorate you and really appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Sure. Like I thank God for the pandemic because I didn't realize that I wasn't going as hard as I should be going before the pandemic. So God took it away from me for a year and it made me grateful. Like, oh, I gotta like go in sixth gear now. I gotta like really go ham, Yeah. But
that the pandemic, it did so much because like one, I got to reevaluate how we operate as a business, which was something like how it is, man. When you're in the moment, like you're just going. You're kind of just like reacting instead of actually structuring things out and planning things out. So it gave me a chance to go back and rewind and say, hey, like, why are we doing this way? Let's do it this way, sort of thing. But two, I got to go back and finish my book, which is a blessing. Like I wrote a book and I got to finish my book. It's coming out probably looking like November right now.
Really?
Yeah, release date. It's called The Fight.
How many pages you think again?
Honestly, I don't know off the top of my head how many pages it is. A couple hundred pages though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
how many chapters?
It's called The Fight. It's 13 chapters.
Okay.
But it's just a different journey, man, and it's the journey that prepared me for the pandemic. Honestly,
how was that learning to write a book? Like your first time doing it? Did you do it did you collab with someone, or you kind of just like scribbled your thoughts?
No, I did it myself. What it was like my father had that battle with cancer, and it was a long battle for a couple years, and I didn't know how to deal with my feelings, and like I feel like sometimes as a society, like as a man in America, like you try to suppress your feelings at times, right?
Yeah, you got to get it out.
And it's like hard, like, because you don't want to share it with other people, or you want to keep it in because you want to be that tough guy. And like for me, I didn't know how to like handle that situation. And because it was my dad that was going through it, of all people, I needed to be there for my mother and my sister. So I'm like, how can I be the strong person? I still got to let it out somehow, or else I'm just going to go absolutely insane. So I just literally started it out by writing notes in my phone, like how I was feeling in that moment, or X, Y, and Z. And then that led to me actually writing it on paper, which led to me typing it out. And I just started typing, and one thing led to another, and I just started writing the whole journey out. And I talked about his battle and overcoming it, and surgery after surgery, and beating cancer once, and then actually having it come back to his brain, which is way worse than it was before. It just goes into life as a battle, man.
Did you have to research on how to write a book?
No. I was an English major in undergrad.
Okay.
Yeah, I was an English major at W&J back in Pittsburgh. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And how long were you working on it for?
So I worked on it for probably about a year and a half, where I was just writing stuff, and then I actually started to put it together for in that time period. And then I did like a quote unquote release of it on Amazon, which was terrible.
I had the
like
OG one.
Yeah, it was like the OG, like self-published book.
What
like
was it? Just
typed out.
like premature, like you did it too.
Very, very premature, man. I had typos in it. I had, stuff I didn't write yet. Like all this different thing that like never really came out, but it was more so just like a combination of all of my notes put together and just thrown out there.
It was still good though. Like,
Yeah.
he a tough critic. It was still like a good read.
And I had a lot of people say that, and it was like 80 pages, 100 pages.
It was short.
It was a short read, maybe like 100 pages. But then I went back during the pandemic and I said, hey, I know I released this. I've always wanted to do something the right way though. So let me go back and rework this. And I really took the time to actually go back through it, add different things
Cross
to
the
it.
T's, dot the I.
Cross the T's, like realize what it was. I took the time to meet with actual publishers this time, publishing companies. And I had like 3 of them that wanted to publish me. And one flew in from New York, another one I met online, and the third one I met online as well. And I narrowed it down, and I ended up choosing one at the end of the day, and I went with them. And so it's going to come out here soon.
I was going to say, what's the release date looking like? Do you have any?
So it's looking like November. My goal is November 13th because that's my father's birthday, and he was the inspiration behind everything. So that's my goal release date, but we'll see. I'll have a party.
Wow.
I'll let you know.
Wow.
I'll let you know, man. You'll come out.
If you're listening out there, like, sky's the limit, man. Writing a book, that's dope, because I think about that sometimes.
Do you?
Like, but yeah, I don't even know where I would start,
The best place to start is to start.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
And for me, it was literally the notes in my phone.
Right.
Honestly.
Damn. And then, it was a calm, like, I think it was like 2 days ago, it was a calm afternoon, and I see Vinny just boom, drop, boom, Cabo, boom, with a bat. Like,
Hey,
it was a calm summer afternoon, and Vinny goes, boom, here I am with a baddie, boom, location, Cabo, you see it. And he had to let us,
First off, he said, Sammy's on a work trip, 2.5 weeks. Let me go have a vacation real quick.
Hey, look, man. Look, I'll be
It was a reel, too. Was it a reel?
I'll be honest. Like, look, like we don't
real.
Like we don't really do things, like for pleasure a lot of times. Like we're so focused on building a business and work and X, Y, and Z that I was like, you know what, man, like I just finished a couple things I wanted to knock out.
You deserve it, bro. You deserve it.
I just finished a couple things.
You had more girls in your DMs after you posted her, right? I know how that works. You and Cabo or her, bro. I'm sure if your request.
The devil, I swear, the devil started sliding through him, bro. It's like a trend though. Like anytime you really like start messing with a girl, like I swear all the X things start coming out.
Nothing will get you women like women, bro.
Bro, it's crazy.
Nothing will get you
Isn't
women
that incredible,
like women.
though?
Yeah, I've used women. Bro, this is crazy to say, but I've used I've used women to get women.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do know.
Like women that I know keep me in the friend zone. That's cool. Let me pay for your dinner. Because I'm going to get this post off and they're going to see, that that and I've used it to actually get women. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's
man,
art of seduction, man.
That's the tough part, too, man. Like, for me, like, I just got out of a relationship, right? So, like, even when I got out of it, like, literally, like, the next week, I had people, like, messaging me like they just had that sixth sense that I got out of a relationship.
It's crazy how that happens, right?
It's a real thing.
How do you know this? Like, I literally just broke, like, me and this girl just broke up like a week ago.
A woman's intuition,
How do you know this? And it's even people that are in relationships that I used to be with in the past, and I'm like, yo, how are you messaging me right now? Like, I don't even feel like, because I'm not that type of person, right? So I'm not going to be a home wrecker. So for me, I was like trying to shut it down. I even told Vinny about it, and I'm like, Vin, like, this is what's happening right now. What do I do? He's like, bro, you're not that dude. Like, don't do it. Don't do it.
That's karma.
Don't do what? Like
he got some bad karma.
Respond or what?
No, don't entertain it. Yeah, don't entertain it. And like, certain messages started to cross the line a little bit, and I was like, look.
The part that freaks me out about it is like, this woman is in a happy relationship, and he's messaging. You know what I'm saying? I've had that. Like, that's the part that that's where my trust issues with women come from. Not me trusting the woman I'm dealing with. It's me, the women that freaking hit me up or in relationships, and like,
it's a scary thing, bro.
And that's where I was like, look, and I even took the step back, bro, and I wrote a message one time, and I was just like, hey, look, I understand, but at the same time, I want to show respect, because I know if I was that dude, I wouldn't like that, right? So I'm not going to be that dude that does it, type of thing. So I just kind of took a step back. I quit answering.
Do you think, damn, but see,
I feel like
as soon as that relationship is over,
Yeah.
you know, like those two people, that girl hit you up,
Right.
that relationship has been dead.
Right.
Is that safe to assume that that's a dead relationship?
It's a tough one.
If
man.
she's going to entertain you now, you know, like I don't know. You know, I think you could say I think you could say that's a that's a stale dead relationship, right?
Yeah.
It's
to
crazy.
be able to do that quickly, like. But here's the thing, like, she didn't know it was over because like, it's not like, hey, you don't break up with someone and start posting about it and say, hey, I'm now single type of thing, right? Like, I didn't do that. And like,
unless you're on Facebook,
some people's
status, Facebook
but time out, some people getting their bag on like Twitter and X, Y, and Z, and you could see like where
they start putting quotes.
Like,
Vinny would never let me do that anyway because like one time I tried to tweet something out and he literally texted me within 30 seconds, bro, delete that now. You don't put feelings on Twitter.
You need a friend like that, bro.
Yeah, no, you
gotta have a real one, bro.
You do, and I didn't even say anything bad either. It was just like
it was
a little oversharing.
Yeah, it was just like a little bit.
I'm like you though. I do that.
Yeah, a little bit of like emotion attached to it, and he hit me up right away and goes, "Bro, delete that, man." Like,
it was because I knew like the deeper background behind it, like
the outside
build up.
looking
like
in,
I knew the build up and like what was happening.
But the outside looking in, like you wouldn't have read too much into it. You'd just be like, "Oh man, all right, I get this."
I'm like you though, bro. See, I mean, it's like your dad, like you said, you got to get it off.
Yeah.
Like get how you feel off, bro. Sometimes I use Twitter. Sometimes I use Twitter as my diary. But actually, just something interesting. 10 days ago, I deleted the app off my phone.
Why?
Twitter, because it was taking up too much of my time, and I saw myself like hitting my clock app now, where the Twitter app used to be. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a waste of my time, and especially with all this, like all the vaccination news and all that shit. I stopped my Twitter for 10 days, bro, and I stopped thinking about it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And it was the best thing I could have did for my mind, bro. I freed up mad bandwidth, bro. Because as much as Twitter, you get funny memes from it, you get some cool information from it, but you're forced to that bullshit too. That it's hard to, you know. Like,
it's hard to separate it. You can't separate it really because it's always coming up every single time, man.
Yeah.
Like, and now everything that's coming out, like not even just with the vaccination, but everything like in the world in general, like so much of our information, so much of the clickbait stuff that we even talked about before, like off camera, is negative news.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so easy because the negative news is what sells.
Yeah.
And that's what people want to click. So like, whenever you get on Twitter, the first thing you're gonna see more times than not is something negative.
Do we need news? Do we need to get news?
I don't know. Do we?
Right? Do I need to care about what's going on around the world? Unless it's, I feel like innately we need to just be worried about us and our neighbors.
I feel like
you know what I'm saying?
Like my bedroom right now, real quick. So me and my girl, we were out here having a conversation.
Oh, he's getting deep in the bedroom. Huh?
No, my news.
Mac, take the mic. Take the mic.
No, go.
Me and my girl, we were having a conversation, right, about the news. And she was talking about, oh yeah, all this fake news. And I said, babe, do you know what the business model of the news is? And she says, oh yeah, they're supposed to inform us. And I said, oh shit. Like, mind you, you guys know I'm having a baby, so I'm like, oh shit, wait, we gotta correct this right now. The business of the news is advertising.
Right.
They sell advertising space. They bring eyes, advertisers bring them money. There is no incentive for the news to tell us the fucking truth.
No.
Yeah.
And like as soon as people start realizing that the news is a for-profit business, we're not gonna talk about it. Like,
but business aside, I'm saying just for the individual's like mental peace. You know what I'm saying? Like, is there a reason to know? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they don't give you the news.
This whole 2 years of news, I think probably took 2 years off my life. I think I could have got through this 2 years of life without any, like, if I lived on an island in the middle of nowhere and I got no news, I think I'd be great for the last 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have maintained my peace. Like, all this information did nothing to help me at all.
No.
I just feel like the news is pandering to people. Like, they're pandering shit to make you fear, to make you come back to find out more.
Right.
Like, so that's fucking with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Not fucking with you personally.
It's disgusting.
Like,
Honestly, I feel like a lot of times we can find out the truth and the facts behind things outside the news just by everyone doing a little bit of their own damn research. Like read into some shit that is like actually not coming from CNN, X, Y, and Z, whatever the fuck news station you be watching, because like you said, it's like all ad sales.
Yeah.
So they're gonna push, hey, this is one of our biggest advertisers. What is their viewpoints? boom, let's push that.
We're in a bubble right now in our generation, and I'm super concerned for the youth. But where it's over information. So I feel like it's important to like cultivate like your own little bubble.
Yeah.
So like you only have certain streams of news coming in that you know is not biased and just good for your mental health. You know what I'm saying? But with Twitter, it's the wild, wild west. You're just reading tweets or retweets of everything, and it's like, damn, I feel a way about this tweet. Like, I don't agree with that, but why am I concerned about, like, you know, like...
News is a catch-22, though, man, because, like, to me, I'm a person that loves information, right? Because, like, knowledge is power, and, like, I'm a person that went through the educational system.
Ignorance is also bliss.
It is.
I see both.
I see both sides, is what I'm getting at. Like, for me as a person that, like, you know, went through high school, went to college, went to law school, did my MBA, like... For me, I understand the value in having information and having the facts around it. Now, the part that I struggle with is that like we don't always get the facts with the news. We get so much other BS that we never get to form our own opinion because that opinion is being forced on us.
Right.
And that's the part that I struggle with. And like to Vinny's point, like if everyone just did their own little bit of research and like just took the time to actually do that research, you could actually take those facts now and actually formulate your own opinion. So like I do think that it's crucial to have in a certain aspect, but I think it's like anything else in life, man. You need it in moderation.
Right.
You can't get consumed by it. Like if the second you become consumed by anything in life, whether it's the news, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, it's entertainment, whatever it may be, like your whole life now goes down that spiral. Yeah. And it's the same thing with news.
Like I'm tired of getting fed things that make me be mad at the world. You know what I'm saying? Like I think about that thing, like the Taliban thing that we just saw, and you saw people hanging from the airplanes and shit.
It's sad, man.
I think about like, is it good that I saw that? Or is it better for me if I didn't see that? You know what I'm saying? Because it just makes me mad at the world now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we know the world is a cruel place. It's always been a cruel place. But it's like, is it better for me to just tune all that shit out and try to keep myself in a bubble of you know, healthy things? You know?
No,
like,
but I think like, you know, David Armstrong, the president of St. Thomas University, he was on our podcast a few weeks ago, and he talked about that too. And he was like, man, I give the kids today more credit than anyone else because they have more information than any of us ever had to deal with growing up. Right.
It's
and
dealing with the information.
Yeah, and it's like that's the biggest part. It's like dealing with what the process. And like I think that's why now we see more anxiety levels at an all-time high than we ever have before because people just don't know what to deal with it or how to deal with it, I should say, because they don't know what to believe and what not to believe. And then you see it, and like you mentioned the Taliban thing, and you mentioned like, you know, the people hanging from planes and those sort of things. And it's like you see that and you get that emotional tie to it, right? Where you see real human beings actually hanging from an aircraft trying to escape something that it's just that miserable. It's
unfathomable.
For them.
Yeah, it's like suffering.
You
like
can't. You can't fathom it, man. And like, but you tie that into everything else that you see online too. Like, you know, nowadays they post like different people getting their heads chopped off. They post like these different things that no human should ever have to see, other than like a quote unquote makeshift horror movie that's real life. That these kids at a young age, like when they're in middle school and high school, are now seeing this stuff.
It makes you mad at the world. You know, like I saw like would you rather you know what was it? It was would you rather be mad at yourself and love the world, or be mad at the world and love yourself? You know what I'm saying? And I think I'm the latter, you know, like I'm confident in me and I love myself, but I tend to be angry at the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you? And some people are the opposite. You know, some people don't like
Why
themselves.
is that though? Why are you mad at the world?
Because you see shit like that.
happen.
You see all the suffering. You see the things, and it makes you, and you can't do nothing about it. So it's like I'm forced to just live here and just see. You know what I'm saying? Like in it.
So even when it doesn't affect you, it still affects you.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I have a gene. I have the gene called empathy. A lot of people don't have that gene. You know, if my neighbor is suffering, I could literally feel the suffering. You know what I'm saying? Like I could feel it. Some people are like, yo, deal with it yourself. You know.
I think too, like a lot of people nowadays lack the critical thinking skills from being, you know, overconsumed by everything, and this one person who has this fucking staple of a brand says this, and all the little minions and followers behind her are like, oh, they said this, so I'm gonna fall in line with that. Instead of like critically thinking for myself, and like you said, like articulating shit, that way you can formulate your own opinion. So I think it plays a role in what you're saying too.
Yeah, You gotta for every video that you see of people hanging out of an aircraft or some suffering that you see, we gotta be fed the positive. We gotta be fed people being empathetic to people and being humane. You know what I'm saying?
Other,
like
bro.
it's important for that type of
The sad part is positivity doesn't sell nowadays.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the sad reality.
How do we get
behind
around
it.
that?
I will say though,
We gotta spread it.
I
man.
think sports and in different advertising routes are trying to start to bring back that storytelling trend of positivity. If you look at even some of like the Nike commercials and stuff recently, it's more of like an emotional, make you feel something, like people doing positive shit.
Like there's a happy ending to the story.
Yeah,
It's not like we have to-
versus just like, hey, this person's catching a football or X, Y, and Z.
Correct.
It's like
Right.
the whole storytelling piece of someone like going through this growing up, coming full circle into, hey, this is where it's at now. Like, you can do this too.
And how do you incentivize positivity? Nike could do it because they're $1 billion. They don't
brand.
need to profit from their commercial. Like
I think it falls on each individual too, though, man, because like there's so many of us and we're all individuals. So like we need to start that trend ourselves too. Like, because if we continue to fall into it or we don't do it for whatever reason, like that still falls on us too, right? Because we have a mic, you have a platform right now. So like if you're spreading negativity or you're not spreading any positivity at all, it still falls on you.
Right.
So like like what you're doing right now, you're trying to spread like messages, you're trying to show different things and showcase different things. Like I think that in and of itself is how you start that trend, like one by one, brick by brick, mortar by mortar. Like you start to build that thing up, and more people start to catch on to the wave too, because they want to tune into it too. Like at the end of the day, like I think as humans, as much as like negativity is clickbait, we still want to hear that positivity, and that's why we tune into certain things that we do. And you'll have people that are sitting there listening to negativity all day, but they'll tune into church on Sunday, and all of a sudden their Monday's that much greater because they tune into church on Sunday.
Yeah, it's like you got to reset from the negativity.
And now they feel great, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, I feel so rejuvenated." It's like I went to the spa, and it's like, no, you didn't go to. You did go to a spa. You went to a spiritual spa, right? Like where you just rejuvenated your whole self, and it's like, all right. Well, instead of just doing that on Sunday, why don't we practice that every single day of our lives and actually listen to that positivity instead of the negativity? Understand the negativity, understand that it's here in our life, and like reality is what reality is, and you're always gonna have that. But focus more so on that positivity, man, and like lean into that a little bit more. Lean into like what that good word is. Lean into like what God's bringing us every day. Like I heard something the other day, and one of the pastors was talking about it, and he was like, man, like, all right, let me ask you a question. And he's like, how would all y'all feel right now if I offered you $1 million? Each and every one of you, right? And everyone was like, shit, I'll take $1 million. I'll take $1 million. I'll take $1 million. He's like, all right, okay. He said, let me ask you this again. What if I said, okay, anyone I gave $1 million to, you can't wake up tomorrow? How many of you would you still want the $1 million? And everyone's like, I wouldn't want the $1 million at that point, right? He's like, okay, so what you all just admitted to is that $1 million is worth less than waking up tomorrow. So anything that you're going through, any struggle that you're going through, anything that you have going on in life right now today,
if you woke up,
is not worth $1 million as long as you woke up, right? So now, whenever you approach your day and that bad thing happens, whatever it is, remember that same exact thing, that to you waking up was worth more than that $1 million.
Yeah, that was a word.
So at the end of the day,
that's a
clip.
That's a clip, Sammy. You just want a clip of the podcast. Congratulations.
Hey, he gonna break it down. Casey, send me that little section. Break it down.
Yeah, we gonna do all that. We gonna hit.
Hey, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was a.
but no,
For three, hit that one in the corner.
but it's true, man.
Yeah, no, that's fire, bro.
a fact.
Yeah.
I agree, man. You got to put things into perspective. Fellas, I appreciate you guys pulling up.
Yeah.
I'm glad we
Thank
got
you,
to
man.
talk
Appreciate
sports,
you
talk
having us
life,
on.
talk. Have a well-rounded conversation. Guys, plug your social medias and Breaking Into Sports, the podcast as well.
Yeah, Breaking Into Sports. It's literally at Breaking Into Sports on Instagram. It's Breaking Into Spo, SPO, on Twitter. My Instagram is Sammy J Spina, SPINA, and
Mine's
Vinny.
Vinnie Scarrato with a E, VINNIE, no Y.
And ladies, don't DM him. He's got a new
got a
baddie.
girl now.
They're in Cabo. They're traveling the world.
They're
you know?
official.
Yeah, just stay out of his DMs, bro. Just send them to me, Pop.
Quarantine.
I'll pass them to you.
Send them to me, bro. Send them to me.
I'll send them to you.
You
My
sound
manager.
now too.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, word. We here. All right, guys. Bomb.